Light is blocks, moonlight to see is the shadow, casting shade from my perception of what reality is supposed to be. Is it me, or is it just deception? The absence of light reflects my imperfections, influencing my direction. I need to get out of this place. Help me to escape. Trapped in the box, and now this is my prison. Sin had created, but stupidly I decided to intend it. Allowing my temple to be the vulgar people's content. Get a quick release, and maybe later I can reason. Suck, cause every time it's got wrapped up in the spiral. Good for a moment, then I'm back to this title. Escape, I need myself to deflate. I'm asking for help so I can stop making this mistake. Going on a selfish love, I might need to remake. The chains are broken, I'm no longer an inmate. The thought I need myself to deflate. I'm asking for help so I can stop making this mistake. Going on a selfish love, I might need to remake. The chains are broken, I'm no longer an inmate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, escape, yeah, yeah, yeah. Escape, yeah, yeah. Help me to escape. Shadows will play the sunshine every afternoon. We'll play hide and seek until we see the moon. Mr. Sun, will you go? Stop this endless game. I need you to help me. Help me to escape. It's love. Shadow is created. Help me light is love. Shadow is created. Help me light is love. Help me shadow is created. Help me light is love. Shadow is created. Help me. Oh. So hello to everyone coming into the live right now. Let me just put this down. So that was actually one of the tracks off of my old EP, and that was called Escape. Definitely one of my favorite songs that I've done before. But just want to say hello to everyone who's in the live. Hello to everyone who's going to catch this back on repeat. I'm not going to hold you too long, but I am going to fulfill a promise that I did say. I did say I was going to do this video last week, but child, flu knocked both me and my child out for literally almost 2 weeks. So it's been a bit rough in my household for the beginning part of this season. As you can hear, I'm still recovering from it all right now. But yeah, I did want to be able to touch on the topic of self-mastery and really just do or bring an introductory thing or overview of what the basics and the foundations of self-mastery really and truly is, because I feel like a lot of the times we say we're doing certain things and we don't actually understand what we're actually doing. So it's misaligning in our intentions, because do you even know what this thing is to begin with? I mean, it becomes a buzzword in the self-help community and now the spiritual community, but do we actually understand what we're actually dealing with? And I did do my last video, just kind of posing the question, like, do we really know? And really the foundations of self-mastery starts with self-management, and it starts with self-discipline. And I'm going to be going through a few things of what self-mastery actually deals with, because a lot of the when we talk about we want to be successful, success starts with self-management. In order to be truly productive, in order to be truly successful, in order to be truly happy, in order to be everything that you imagine yourself to be, you need to learn how to be able to develop the art of self-management. The world's greatest leaders are experts at self-management. You know, like, there are people who manage to almost uh fake their way to the top, and you know, self-mastery and self-management becomes a massive void from their whole kind of quest. But if you really want to be like, you know, that I know that especially in this day and age, like, success looks very attractive, but are you willing to do the work that it takes to actually hold the mantle of being great? You know, um, even like when we look in the whole grime world right now, I know this is a very random example or connection, but when we look at Stormzy, and he's like talking about heavy as the head, like he's seeing himself as wearing the crown of grime at the moment. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, there are these invisible imaginary crowns that we can imagine ourselves to have, but it means nothing if you're not actually doing what it takes to actually align with that crown. You know, what is the purpose of you wanting to have that crown? Is it to show off to everyone else, oh, I've got a crown? Or is it to actually really be proud in all of your achievements and all of your endeavors that you've done, because you know that I've actually worked really hard. I've made sure that I've kept myself accountable to what I know I needed to be doing. Like, I've made sure that I've been intentional in my personal growth and my expansion, and I've made sure that all of the foundational issues have been addressed and dealt with. It's not to say that it's going to be completely cleared out, but it's things that you're actively dealing with. So any position of authority or responsibility for others requires you to be able to manage yourself before managing others. And I feel like there's a lot of kind of drive of people kind of wanting to be able to help the world and help other people, but if you're not able to help yourself, you will not be in a position to be able to help other people. And then it goes back to my whole kind of imaginary crown example of, like, what are you really doing it for? Are you doing it for so that you can actually say, oh yeah, I can help this person, I can do this, I can do that? Or are you doing it because you know that you've actually been accountable in your process of doing that thing? So self-management is what is also referred to as self-control or self-regulation. And this is the ability to regulate your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, um, in multiple different situations. Not being, because a lot of the time we can imagine ourselves only managing ourselves in professional situations, but what about at home? What about in your casual situations, you know, in your personal relationships? Or like, how do you manage yourself in that? Because that can also become an illusion if we're not actually being truthful in how we regulate ourselves in all of our situations. So this also includes managing your stress, um, being being able to delay gratification, especially if you have addictive qualities about yourself, whether that be um, being able to stop yourself smoking, or being able to make sure that you can eat the right things, or whatever it is, making sure that you can set are you the type of person who can just have sex all the time, or can you actually pull yourself back and be like, yeah, I'm not going to have sex. I can be that person where I can regulate myself. Like, I don't have to if I don't want to, if that makes sense. You've got that, then you've got being able to motivate yourself. That's also a form of self-management. Or are you waiting for other people to be able to motivate you? Are you able to set and work towards personal and academic goals? Or are you the type of person to just have goals just floating out in the air but never actually achieve them? Students with a strong sense of self-management are able to have strong time management ability, so they're able to arrive to class at a specific time, or even in business, you're able to get to work on time as well. And I'm not there's actually two different things when it comes to time management in particular, because you can be the type of person, or not two, there could be three. So you could be the person who's always late, or you could be the person who's always on time, dead on time, or you can be the person who's prepared and who's turning up earlier to that meeting or that class, to make sure that you're not actually stressing yourself out, or like you're grounded going into wherever you're going into. Like evaluate, like, what type of person are you? And time management was something for me that I had to really address, because it was not one of my strong points. But I can definitely say, like, over the last few months, it's been something that I've been actively trying to deal with, and making sure that I'm not the person who, or I've gone beyond just being on time, making sure that I'm earlier than I need to be, so that I'm not rushing, I'm not doing all of these types of things, and I'm making sure that I'm not adding unnecessary stress to my life. So people are able to do that, they're able to follow directions easily. If someone tells you to do something, you're able to do it because you're still, like, you're grounded. You're also able to self-management also comes into allowing other people to speak without you interrupting them. Like, are you able to listen more than you speak? That's also a form of self-management. Are you able to work independently, and still give a certain level of focus that you're able to give if you were in a space where you're expected to be able to do something? Like, are you able to manage yourself to that extent, or are you going to cheat yourself because someone else is not watching? um so self-management comes into so many different things. And what really made me look into self-management and self-mastery even deeper is when I actually found out that so students from Harvard and but Harvard in particular, I can't speak for any other university, but I know particularly Harvard University do this with their students. But the reason why they're able to produce such successful people is because self-management is actually a mandatory topic in their um education system. They have to be able to go through classes of self-management, understanding stress management, mindfulness. So they have all of these different things that, like, the ordinary person struggles with. Like, they're able to learn how to be able to manage these things alongside their work or whatever it is that they're doing. And this is something that is important, and this is something that has to be scaled out on as a whole. Like, it has to be taught to from school levels. This is life skills that we all need, self-management skills, because if you look at the chaos that happens, whether it's miscommunication or just stupidness. There's a lot of stupidness that happens that doesn't need to happen, and it's particularly because people don't know how to be able to self-manage themselves. People on the streets, if you've got people who may be violent or just randomly attack someone, that's someone who hasn't learned how to be able to manage themselves. And you can't blame them. You can blame society or wherever their environment wasn't be able to like teach them that themselves. But we all have to be able to be accountable for our own levels of self-management, how we're able to manage ourselves, because this is essentially the mastery of yourself. So here are some examples of some self-management skills. So they specifically focus on your own personal responsibility. So, and it's crazy because another reason why I did this video is because when I actually look up other people talking about self-mastery, or like courses, I'm seeing people talking about how to dominate this person and get what you want. That is not self-mastery. That is literally just a fueling of your ego. And let's really go to the foundations and the basics of what this thing really is. And what this deals with is your organization, your ability to set goals, your time management, again, your self-motivation, your ability to manage your stress. How accountable are you to yourself? How accountable can you be to other people? Now, let's break this down a bit more. So your organization, you can apply organizational skills to your time. You can apply it to your physical space, your own personal energy, your own mental capability, how neat you are, how you can improve yourself, how you can improve your ability to function. If you have good organizational skills, then you're able to plan better, you're able to prioritize better, you're able to execute whatever activity you're doing much better with more focus. You're able to manage your responsibilities better. And this is something that a lot of us would struggle with. Me, myself, I am not the most organized person, but this is something, especially in my latter years, I've been naturally learning to develop, because this is something that I wasn't taught. I wasn't taught organizational skills. I wasn't taught how to be able to do all of these types of things, but I'm having to learn how to be able to do it. And just because you haven't got these skills, it doesn't mean to say that it's an excuse for you not to be able to have it. There's the internet, there's access to resources everywhere. There's no excuse for you to not better yourself or improve certain skills that you know you don't have. If you don't have a skill, find a way to make it better. Don't sit in the constant cycle of failure, because you know that you've got this thing that is preventing you and becoming a main blockage to you actually evolving and expanding yourself. So now let's look at goal setting. Now, goal setting is your ability to determine what you want to achieve in a clear and well-defined manner. Now, being a creative, goal setting sometimes is very non-existent, because you are the goal setting is almost inside of you, but actually writing it down and putting it to paper and putting it in a structure would become the lack. you know, it's very Aryan like for you to just be like, yeah, this is what I want to do, but what's your plan to be able to execute that? What is the realistic measures that you're going to put into place? But goal setting helps you to identify what's important, what's a priority, is something realistic, what is the best way for it to be able to happen, and these skills are necessary for your productivity, so that you make sure that when you set out to do something, you're actually going to do it, or because you made sure that you covered all areas to ensure that you can. Right? It's incredibly important. Like, let's get out of the habit of just being like, yeah, this is something I want to do, but then never actually putting down the structure in place to make ensure that that is something that you're actually going to do. So now we move on to time management. Time management allows you to prioritize your tasks, but it allows you to avoid your distractions and maintain your focus. How many times have you said, oh, I haven't got time to do this, I haven't got time to do that? And when you really think about it, yes, and I'm talking from the position of a mother. Listen, time, yes, it does come out, like it just it goes sometimes, and you're just like, whoa. But at the end of the day, if we learn to be a bit more stricter with our time, and made sure, I say this quote, I actually made this up because this is something that I had to do for myself. I was like, if you took out the if you took out quarter of the amount of I can't be bothered, or I'll do it later, or all of these different things that we delay and we put as a block to procrastinate from doing what we need to do, that we could have got a lot of stuff done. And these are the things that block us from our potential, which essentially brings us into this place of self mastery. We create our own blocks by not actually addressing these areas of our lives. So, time management, like if that's something that you struggle with, meeting deadlines, meeting to or you know, just how you work on things, like make this be a priority for 2020, that this is something you're going to address. Look, go get books, YouTube, whatever. Like, how do I better my self management? Like, and if it's something, especially one thing I've learned as well is learn to work on one thing at a time, or try to work on one. I'm a Gemini, so trust me, I know how difficult it can be, for especially for creators. Like, you know, I just love that versatility of being able to do loads of things at one time, but sometimes it's not realistic. So be very realistic with your time and and be very, very realistic in terms of what you delegate, because sometimes some things you don't need to do. And that's another thing of self-management as well, is your ability to be able to control yourself, because sometimes you may literally be so controlling that you can't actually delegate and allow someone else to come in and be like, oh, I can help you with this, I can take this off of you, because you're so controlling. Do you want to be able to do it yourself? You want to make sure it's right, you want to make sure it's done this way, and you're particular, whatever. No, that's your element of control, and sometimes you need to learn how to be able to relinquish that control as well. It's all about having that balance. Brittany says, needed to hear this right now. Oh, bless you. I'm grateful that this is something that you're resonating with. Definitely like the video as well, and share it if it is something that does resonate with you as well. So there are also 3 key self-management skills that needs to be looked at or included in your whole self-management plan. And this is your ability to take initiative, again, organization, and your ability to be accountable both to yourself and to other people, because there's sometimes we can be accountable to other people but not to ourselves, and then sometimes we can be accountable to ourselves but not other people. So we need to learn how to be able to have the balance of the two. So being able to take responsibility for your own actions and doing things as well as you can, rather than doing things, because sometimes, a lot of the time, I have to, again, these are things I have to look at myself. How do I do things? Like, if I'm doing something and um I don't really have the heart in it, and I'm like, okay, I need to learn, like, everything that I do, no matter what it is, I need to learn how to do it well. Let me not put myself in this place where I can create a hierarchy of what I'm gonna, be invested in. If this is something that I've chosen to be invested in, or whatever, whether I've chosen it or not, if whatever you're doing, learn to do something with excellence, because it becomes a pattern. Like, if you only choose to do this excellent and only do that like really shitty, it's like you're not actually mastering your ability to be excellent. And this is something I want to be able to do, especially for 2020. I say this like to myself, I want to master my ability to be excellent, because it's not to be perfect. There's a difference between being perfect, but being exercising my excellence is making sure that I'm holding my own self, not allowing other people to hold me to a standard, but I'm holding myself to a standard of what I know that I can do, and making sure that I'm consistent in that process. So it's all about learning to be the boss of yourself, like, not just the boss of a team or a company. Like, there's business people, CEOs, like big ass CEOs, that are managers of big corporate massive companies, and they can manage a whole team of people, but not have the ability to manage themselves. And that's not okay, because as much as you've got the success in the physical field of being able to have this big company, but how successful are you for self? And really, like, look at this when you're because social media sometimes can really this whole comparison thing. You can look at other people and see, oh, you're successful, and this person's able to do this, they're able to fly here, they're able to do this and connect with this person and that person. And yeah, they may be able to do that, but like, really, like, what, like, are they in alignment, really, like, fully? Like, you could have like tangible physical success, but are you really successful at yourself? Like, and this is essentially what we need to learn, how to have a quest and a drive for, to be successful of self. When you're successful of self, everything around you becomes successful anyway, because you're successful. And it's like, yeah, like, it's that whole thing of excellence again. Like, it's just, you're walking, and everything about you is just walking in that spirit of excellence, and that's something that's really incredibly important for me. So your initiative is your ability to be able to work without always or do whatever it needs to do, whether it's doing some work, whether it's being able to counsel yourself. Like, are you able to when something happens, say for example, craziness happens in your relationship, and then every time that you get stuck because you don't know what to do, and then you have to call Sally, and you have to call Sarah, and you have to call Tommy, like, and you can't actually counsel yourself. You can't. And this isn't to actually take away from the fact that sometimes you do need to be able to go to people, but sometimes, like, in fact, I always encourage people, before you go to someone, ask yourself first, because whenever you go to someone else anyway, they're just like, especially if it is whatever resonates with you, it's gonna be what you already told yourself initially. So you're literally bypassing yourself to go to someone else because you don't trust you. And so 2020, you need to learn how to trust you a bit more. And learn to trust your your own intuition, and learn to take initiative of whatever you need to be taking initiative of. What else? Yeah, when it comes to intuition, um we love to move, or when we're not operating in a place where we're in our intuition, and there's a balance between being intuitive and also being very logical, but sometimes we get trapped in our minds too much, in our brains, so we need to learn how to be able to flow a bit more, and and just know that you always have the answer. You always know. You always know. But we just don't trust ourselves. So let's really learn how to trust ourselves. Back to organization. So if you're organized in life, it means that you're able to plan your time, and also the things that you have to do. So you make sure that you're able to get what you need to get done. You're able to do whatever you need to get done, and it means that you are not being blindsided by anything. Oh my gosh, I didn't know how to have that meeting. Oh my gosh, I didn't know how to do it, because you are aware of everything that you need to be doing. You know what's most important. You know what needs to be done first. You know what's going to take the longest. So you now have a plan of how to be able to navigate all of that. You're not getting thrown out. Oh my gosh, yeah, everything's just been so stressful. I couldn't do my workout because like the kids or the kids did this or whatever. And yes, kids and this is gonna be able to play out, but there should be able to be in your organization, in your plan, some leeway that if that goes a bit left, then I know that I've got an hour to play with, that, you know, before I go to this. But you need to be aware of what's actually going. Are you even aware of what's even happening in your life, or are you living on autopilot? Like, let's learn to become much more organized, knowing you need to complete certain tasks, knowing when you need to begin, when it's going to finish. Like, let's these are simple things. Like, the thing is, these are really, really simple things, but they get overlooked all the time. And then we say self-mastery, I'm mastering myself, but then we skip all over all of these little components that individually, these are the things that we love to throw away. These are the things that it's like, it doesn't really matter, but these are the most important components of self that will allow you to be the master of yourself. Okay. Let me know how you're finding this live as well, guys, and let me know how you see self-mastery as I go through the rest of this. I've got a lot more that I want to be able to talk about this one. But let me go through the last one, accountability. So accountability and responsibility are very, very similar, but they don't mean the same thing. So someone can be responsible for something, but could still, okay, let me think. Someone could be responsible for something, but then still look for someone else to blame something on if it goes wrong. So it's like you have to learn to like take accountability and take responsibility of things. Of course, if it's not yours, then it's not yours. But a lot of the time we like to be able to push certain things. Okay, yeah, this is okay, but it won't nothing to do with me. It was because of da 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 da. And something that I always teach myself to do is really, like, no matter who it is or whatever someone says to me, like, they could bring up something to me that's like, okay, you did something and I thought that was really disgusting and da, da, da. Okay, that's cool. Like, come and speak to me. Like, I will actually go into myself to actually be like, okay, is this something I need to be accountable of? And this is something I need to take responsibility of. And 9 times out of 10, even if it's like, obviously, if there's a certain element that I'm like, okay, that was a bit of projection, that bit you can keep, but the 8, the 5, the 2, the 4, whatever that is, I take that for myself because I need that for my journey. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And this is the type of attitude that we should have towards our life. We shouldn't learn because especially in this really extremely heightened sensitive culture where everyone's triggered, like triggered. In fact, triggered was the word for 2018, I think it was. The Oxford Dictionary or something like that. It was triggered. You see it all playing out, like everyone's just been triggered. And it's like we have to learn to be able to like face those mirrors. Like when people bring these parts of ourselves that don't really look very good, we have to be able to look at that in the mirror and be like, okay, I embrace that. Okay, I take that. Okay, let me work with that. Okay, let me better myself. Let me do what I need to do. And thank that person, because you wouldn't have been able to see that yourself. You know, this is why we need other people. We are mirrors of each other. And sometimes we're blindsided. Sometimes we need someone just to, highlight something to us. And this is okay. So I just wanted to do this live just to have something on the record, just for people to understand what self-mastery actually is, because it's a lot of what is being presented is not what it actually is. And this is essentially the foundation and the core of what we should be looking at. And a lot of the people, like, going around and teaching these things are not actually saying this. So I didn't want to put that on the record. So let me know how you found this live. Share it if you do like it. Put a like on the video if you do like it. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. Take care.